Have you ever wondered how some solopreneurs make success look effortless? What if building your dream business didn't mean sacrificing your dream life? Today, you get to discover why authenticity, alongside two other powerful tips, might be your missing piece. We have an incredible guest today who was able to have her business at 10K months before she even left her 9 to 5. And she has been designing a life she loves while building a business that lights her up ever since. Get ready for a transformational conversation that will revolutionize your entrepreneurial journey. I'm glad you made time to be here today. Welcome to Authenticity Amplified, your resource for attracting and connecting to your ideal client. I'm your host, Shawna Rodrigues, and today we get to have an incredible conversation with Marli Williams. She is a fellow solopreneur, a master facilitator, powerhouse speaker, leader of epic retreats, and joy instigator. She is the host of the Marli Williams podcast and someone who has been making connections and impact on her own terms for quite some time. Marli, I know you've been speaking for 8 years now?
You got it.
You got it. Yes. And you have been doing incredible things through your work. And I'm so excited for you to be here today and share with everyone. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
You're excited. What do you think has been one of the more powerful things for you? Because you have, in 8 years, you've actually done a lot in 8 years. What do you think has been the most powerful thing in you up-leveling your work and really being able to show the best of building your business and doing these quantum leaps and doing what you're doing?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, and I love the name of your podcast, which is Authenticity Amplified, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the biggest things for me, in my trajectory as an entrepreneur and over the past 8 years is really embracing who I am and amplifying my authenticity in the world and really, using that as a metric for my success. Am I being fully me, fully expressed, putting my work out there in the world? And I think, for anyone at the beginning of their journey, I think it's so important to allow yourself to evolve. And I think that is one of the big keys in being able to take those quantum leaps is, honoring your authenticity, honoring who you are, honoring who you're meant to serve, your message, your work in the world, and knowing that it will shift, it will change, it will evolve only if you allow it to. Because sometimes we get comfortable. For a long time, I ran I ran Camp Yes for 7 years, and it was very successful. And after 7 years, I got to a place where I'm like, there's something else out here for me, and I need to let this go in order to embrace whatever is next. And so sometimes we have to let go of the comfort zone or of the thing that we think was the thing. And it was the thing for a while until it's not the thing anymore. And so I think that honoring ourselves and honoring our intuition in the face of sometimes people were disappointed that I wasn't doing that, I'm going to let people down, and letting go of trying to be everything for everyone too.
Yeah.
And just really, getting clear and asking myself, who am I? What do I really want to do? What really lights me up? And doubling down on that.
Yes. And I love that. And that's more of what we're going to talk about today is the 3 epic tips on how, epic tips on how you can create the life you want as an entrepreneur. Because I think when I think of you, I love that you have found your way. And of course, we're all figuring out how to do this. But a lot of people don't stick with their business. A lot of businesses don't make it past that first year, don't make it past the 5-year mark. And you've been able to do this for 8 years, which is actually a huge marker in the trajectory of businesses. You also reached past the 1-year mark of your podcast, which is also a huge marker in podcasts. 80% don't make it to that mark either. And so you've been able to break through where a lot of people haven't, and you've done it on your terms. And I think that as the folks who are listening, who are solopreneurs trying to make it the distance and also trying to figure out how to do that and not lose the vision and why they're doing it, that these tips you have that I feel like you have a lot to offer us on are going to be hugely valuable in helping us figure out how on earth did you manage to stay and manage to keep going and do this? So
Mm.
I'm thrilled that you're gonna be here today giving us these tips and helping us to get, like, this vision for all of us about how we can keep doing it. So, thank you so much for that. And so,
I
yeah,
love some hot tips.
lots of hot tips. So, yeah, so what is the advice you were given that you think has made the largest impact on your career and especially as a founder and entrepreneur? What do you think is the one piece of wisdom that you would wanna pass on?
Well, I remember at the beginning of my journey, I was in higher education before, and so going out on my own, I had never sold a thing in my life other than maybe, like, I don't know, like, I really can't remember, like, selling anything. I was not in a sales position, and then I was leaving my full-time steady, stable job and going out and, like, not just selling a widget or a vacuum cleaner or, like, even a product, I was selling me. And a lot of solopreneurs and service-based entrepreneurs, like, you are selling your services as, maybe a coach, as a speaker, as a retreat leader or whatever it is that you offer people. You're a practitioner. There were like two big pieces, I think, right at the beginning of that journey. One was like learning how to sell.
Yeah.
Like, and even to this day, I'm probably doing the thing, like leading, teaching, coaching, facilitating 10 to 20% of the time on a
Yeah.
good day. You know, the rest of that, I'm on sales calls, I'm marketing myself, I'm promoting myself. And so the two pieces of that coin is one, like learning how to sell is a skill.
Yes.
And if you've never sold anything, I invested in a mastermind when I left my job. And the focus was selling coaching, like how to have a powerful sales conversation. And I remember they gave me like a template and a script and like get on the phone, ask these questions, say these things, don't say these things, do this, don't do that, whatever. And I remember I was like still in my full-time job, down the hallway in a classroom, on a call with this person who wanted me to be their life coach. And we were having a sales conversation exploring that. And I was like reading the script like word for word. And at the end of it, it was kinda like, "Oh, how much is it?" And I was like, "It's $2,000 for 3 months," or whatever I said, and she was like, "Okay, I'm in." And then I was like, "What's your credit card number?" And then I wrote it down, and then I was like, "Oh my god, that just happened." Like, that's nuts. And so I think, like, the biggest thing is, like, find mentors, find a coach, find someone who's already done it. Like, we don't need to recreate the wheel, and again, if you've never done something before, you're not gonna be good at it right away. And you might need a template, you might need a script, you might need that, like, that level of guidance. Like, and I was, when I left my job, I was like, "I'm all in on this."
Yeah.
Like, LFG, like, let's freaking go. I love this question. What do you need in order for success to be inevitable?
I love that. I love that.
And I think that some people don't. They let themselves off the hook or they don't invest in themselves because it can be scary, especially at the beginning. And it was like I was leaving, a steady stream of income to go out to the unknown. But I was like, I'm refusing to let myself fail here. Like what do I need? Who do I need in order for success to be inevitable? And I was like, I know I need support. I know I need to learn how to do this selling thing. And within my first month, and I was in a mastermind, I had a speaking coach at the time. And within my first month going out on my own, I made $10,000,
That is incredible. That's
which is
incredible.
nuts. My full-time job, working 40 hours a week, I was making maybe 3 grand a month at that time. So this was like crazy town. I was like, this is nuts. Like but I didn't do it alone. Like I had people, I had support, I had mentors, I still have mentors. And I think that, we have to find those people that we resonate with to help us get out of our own way. The mindset piece is, do I truly believe that what I want is possible?
Yes.
So a belief in yourself. It's like if you want people to believe in you, you got to believe in you.
Yes.
And what people are buying isn't it's not necessarily like all the shiny bells, whistles. It's like in a way, they're buying your confidence in your ability to help them.
Mhm.
So if you're not confident in that, people can feel that. Energy is palpable through a phone call, through Zoom. So I think cultivating that confidence in yourself. And I think at the beginning where it's like, I don't know what I'm doing. It's like I had to go to the confidence gym, meaning I had to take risks and put myself out there and build that muscle through taking action, having mentors, and believing in my ability to help people.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that like the knowing the different options, right? Like masterminds, communities, mentors. And I think that retreats. I know that I went to like when I first started podcasting, I went to a conference because that was a thing. But like with this type of stuff, like retreats and those type of things where you can go to and get like that infusion and get that boost to get yourself lifted off can make
Mm,
such a difference because you need to have like that infusion and then the ongoing pieces of like a mastermind or a community
right.
or mentors. But sometimes you need like that piece to really get yourself, like get your true north and get yourself pointed in the right direction and get those supports.
Yeah. What 100%. And one of the things I love about retreats is they allow us to reflect on our life without actually being in it. Meaning we
Mm,
get to step out of the noise, the day to day, the distractions, the dings, the rings, all this stuff, the noise. Because I think what's hard sometimes as an entrepreneur is like squirrel, we have like all of these, like I could do that. I could be a coach and I could lead a mastermind. I could do group coaching. I could do one-on-one. I could be a speaker. And that's like, ah. And so to tune out the noise of all that's coming at us and tune into ourselves, to tune into like, what do I truly want? What lights me up the most? And having not just an hour to do that, not just a day,
yes.
but 5 or 6 days to be in this, like, I call it like this like energetic vortex of possibility and being able to play in that playground of like, what do I want to create in the world? Who do I want to be? And having this like really expansive space to connect to ourselves, our intuition, our knowing, so that when we go back into our life, into our business, we're like, I have grounded sense of clarity and what I want to create, what my vision is, where I'm going. I have direction and I have I have a clear game plan. I know what the steps are that I'm going to take to do that, and cultivating that courage and that confidence and having a community to support you in putting yourself out there and taking those risks. Again, like going to the confidence gym and being like, all right, this is my vision. What am I willing to do to make that happen? And for me, like a huge game changer has been taking that time, investing in myself, and going on transformational retreats has been so profound, so life changing. And that is the thing that I love to offer people because I know that busy, driven women, like we don't take time for ourselves.
Yes.
And we can get really stuck also in like what we think is possible, but there's something magical that happens when you're kind of in that again, that energetic vortex with other people that are dreaming big and creating things. You're like, "Oh, wow, like you're doing that." Like it kind of expands what is possible. And so it is hands down such a game changer to surround yourself with like-minded, like-hearted people who wanna make a difference in the world, who are driven, who are motivated. There's that quote from Jim Rohn that says, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." And what I love about retreats is you meet people that are driven, motivated, they're on the same kind of wavelength, they're growth oriented. They wanna make a difference, and, like, so you're in that energy of that, and it is just, like, I think it really amplifies and exponentially creates success for people, and I've seen it happen time and time again. People come on retreat, they get super clear, they go back, they take action, they're like, and I get emails all the time, "Marley, like, I did the thing," and, sometimes it's personal, sometimes it's professional. Someone created a vision that they wanted to live a month in Hawaii every year. And then I got a message, "Hey, Marley, I'm in Hawaii. I'm doing it. I did the thing." And we create these, compelling visions. We're like, again, believing that what you want is possible.
Yes, and you need time to have that clarity to make those visions, to be able to
Right.
do that and to get that space away. And I think that especially when we are so busy in our businesses, and I'm in the middle of reading the E-Myth, but it talks about like the part of you that's the technician, the part of you that's the entrepreneur, and the part of you that's the manager, and trying to balance all those pieces. Like you said, that like your technician part, your speaking part of you is like 10% anymore, right? There's so much more with the sales parts and the building the business parts that like we have to do, that like taking time away to be that visionary, to get that clarity is what's going to make us successful. And so we
Mm,
need to take that time. And so retreats is one of the ways that we can make sure we're building it and doing that. So it's important for us
100%.
to see that. Yes. I love that.
100%.
I love that. So for our 3 tips, for our epic tips to create the life we want, which we're clearly saying we want retreats to be part of that. But what would we say are like those tips? And then we can like break them down a little bit more. What are our epic tips?
I think number one is being true to you, being true to yourself, like being authentic. Number one. Number two is all about your relationships, your network, your connections, the people that are leaning in your inner circle and, thinking about who are my mentors, who are my people. And then the third one is, really having this growth mindset, being willing to always up level, learn, grow, find masterminds, go on retreats, like being in that energy of growth and possibility is like, again, how do we quantum leap? It's when we take a step back and we really get clear, like, this is my next level, and I have the capacity to step into that from that place of like, we're always learning and growing, and I think that that's why I love retreats so much.
Yes,
So
definitely.
those are my top 3
Those top 3.
hot
Let's
tips.
let's let's dig into this. Let's dig into this. So the authenticity piece and how like tell us more about how that can lead for us to have this life we want. Like give us how authenticity makes things happen in our business and makes things happen. Give us an example of what that's done for you.
So, I think as entrepreneurs out in the world, I think there's always this question of how do I stand out?
Yes.
Like, and how do my people find me?
Mhm.
Right? I love the metaphor of like sometimes, we go to networking events, we walk into a room and we have this energy of like, here I am, like, hire me, da 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 da. Like a kind of energy of a little like we're a little bit desperate. We've all been to those networking events where there's this like little desperation energy. And I help people go from here I am, here I am, here I am to there she is.
Yes.
And this energy where people are just drawn to you, they want to be around you. And when you are real, when you are truly who you are, you give other people around you permission to do the same. And you become what I call magnetic. You attract the people that are meant for you. And the thing that I love about the magnet is that it does 2 things. It attracts and it repels.
Yes. Love
So the
that.
thing about authenticity is that it's allowing ourselves to not be, again, everything for everyone. If I'm being fully me, who is drawn to that? And like, what are people, coming to us for? And I think about what is your unique brand of magic, so to speak.
Mhm.
We all have that, right? So if there's like 100 life coaches or 100 business coaches or whatever it is, what is unique about you? And I think that, we all have to a certain degree a personal brand, whether we know it or not.
Yes.
And so it's like if we don't declare that, name that, claim that, other people will do it for us.
Mhm.
And so part of it is really I think that the authenticity piece is really cultivating such a deep, strong sense of self-awareness of like the question that I love to ask people out that you all out there listening can sit with this one, which is what shows up when you show up?
Ooh, I love that.
When you walk into a room, a networking event, a meeting, a coaching call, what's there that wasn't there before? And do you know what it is? Is it passion, joy, creativity, playfulness, enthusiasm, wisdom? Is it empathy, right? So like we all have kind of like our unique essence, if you will. And I think that so many people don't necessarily know what that is. And that is so much of the personal development work I think that I've done over the past 20 years really is really being again, to be true to ourselves, we have to know ourselves.
Mhm.
So am I willing to like tell the truth to myself about myself? Of, I can't tell you how many times I've been told, Marley, you're too much. Tone it down, chill out, relax. And if people think I'm too much, I love the line, like, go find less.
Yes.
Boom. Like, if I'm shining too bright, put on some sunglasses.
Yes.
Like, instead of, "Oh, I have to shrink, I have to play small, I wanna," as a recovering people pleaser, trying to, like, make everybody feel comfortable, it's like, that is not my job to make other people comfortable. My job, your job out there is to be fully you, right?
You.
Authenticity amplified. How can you amplify your authenticity? Dr. Seuss has one of my favorite quotes. He says, "Today you are you, that is truer than true. There is no one alive that is youer than you."
Oh.
And so it's like this authenticity piece is like, how can you be the youest you could possibly be? And like give yourself full permission to like wave your freak flag, be the weirdo, like be the thing. Like, and I think that is just such a key piece of people finding you, people being drawn to you and your energy. I think that we can only fake it for so long and people can feel that. And I think that people right now want that is what they're looking for. They're not looking for perfection. They're looking for authenticity.
Yes, and your ability to be okay with that. And I think we all have stories and moments in our lives where people like we were being ourselves and somebody else shamed us, shrunk away from that, had a response to that. And our response as people pleasers, which I especially feel as women that we've been socialized to try and do that and be that our response was to be less of us and to shrink and to do that. And I think that this is our time to be like, no, this is who I am. This is what I can step into it. If I like this about me, if I want this to be me, then I can step into this. And there's always room for us to figure out and refine what pieces of us we want to change, what we want to see different about us. But there's so much of us that we love and we enjoy, and we're so busy trying to fit into a mold that somebody else is putting in front of us that we're losing that instead of embracing that. And that's the pieces that we need to figure out how, like, what about this do I want to see be different? What about this am I uncomfortable with and not am I doing because somebody else or something else is telling me this should be different?
100%.
Yes, I love that. And I feel like too, like you said, like with the retreats and that time for you to step away from the noise, from your business, from other people and their perspectives for you to actually be able to untangle that. And that's what we need space for.
Right. And the phrase that I love is disconnect to reconnect.
Ooh,
So we disconnect from all of that noise, like unplug from like all the inundation, but all the things that are coming at us, and to reconnect with our essence, who we are, what we really want. Having that clarity. What are my values? What are my strengths? What do I believe in? What do I want? Like, in the midst of the day to day, it's hard to ask those bigger questions and to give yourself enough time and space to sit with them and get curious about that. Right.
mhm.
And I think how do we be ourselves and amplify our authenticity is showing up for ourselves, right? And giving ourselves that gift of investing in ourselves. It's so easy, I'm sure lots of like moms or parents out there, like you send your kids to summer camp and you pay for their plays and their violin and their whatever.
Yes.
You don't even think about it. But when it comes to like paying for a retreat, investing in a retreat for yourself, there is so much no, am I worth it? What
Yes.
am I going to get? Like, I mean, all of these things that I think, is so important to see that investment in yourself as an investment in, you know, your kids, your family, your partner, your employee, like your boss, your business. Because when you are fully resourced, when you are nourished, when you are clear, when you are confident, you are going to be way more productive, way more effective, way more efficient. You are going to, again, magnify, draw people to you. And sometimes that ROI, as it were, like, what's the return on my investment? It's like it happened. I've seen it time and time again, but it's like, well, what would shift or change in your life if you felt more calm, if you felt more grounded, if you were more clear, you had a vision that inspired you and you took action because you felt confident and courageous. It's like it can change everything.
Mhm.
It really, really can. And again, I've been leading retreats now for 10 years plus because I was doing it before.
Before, yeah.
And, you know, I was a wilderness guide for a number of years, and I love creating transformational experiences, and I'm like, on day 1 of a retreat, I say, "You will not leave here the same person as you walked in here being."
Yeah.
Like, that is my commitment to you, and I guarantee that there is someone in this group that will change your life. Might be me, it might be the person next to you, but I learned in my lots of my decades of facilitation training is that every circle is perfect.
Ooh, I like
Every
that.
circle is perfect, meaning, you know, I think that the magic of retreats sometimes is that, like, you know, here's a group of 10, 12 women, because I lead women's retreats, that have all invested in themselves. They've all said yes to themselves. So the energy of that to say, like, I am worth this time creates such a magical container because, like, they're all in. You know, when you think about the level of energetic investment to get on a free webinar
Yes.
versus paying a few $1,000 to then buy a plane ticket, get on a plane, have your business taken care of, have your kids watched, all the things that you had to do to be there.
Mhm.
All the yeses that someone had to make to be at a retreat like that, the energetic investment is way higher. So the results and the return on that investment are also way higher.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely makes a huge difference. And I think that leads perfectly into number 2, which is about networking, right? Like that leads perfectly into that because of that perfect circle and the people that you want to have. And you said something about is it the 5 people you said?
You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Yes. And who is
So
that?
right.
Yes.
So, like, are you surrounded with people who motivate you, who inspire you, who are driven, who are motivated? Like, it's like, who challenge you, support you, like challenge you in a good way, like who
Yes.
see your greatness. And I talk to so many, again, solopreneurship can be lonely.
Yes.
And we're like, I'm the only one, and I'm doing this all alone and every day, day in and day out. And so to be in community with other people who get it, who understand that world, who can help you elevate and amplify your work in the world. And I just think, you know, it's such a powerful game changer who you hang out with, who you surround yourself with, and how that impacts what we believe is possible. Because I feel like we all have what I call yaysayers and naysayers in our life. Like, we all people that, like, you know, we need those cheerleaders and those a support system, if you will. Like, entrepreneurship is hard enough, we don't have to do it alone. And sometimes, like, our partner, if they're not an entrepreneur, they don't really get it. Or our friends, if they're not entrepreneurs, they don't really get it. And so, you know, retreats or networking groups or conferences, it's like, where can I find the people that inspire me and believe in me?
Yes, they know how hard it is, but they also know you can get past it because I think that people around is like, "Oh, yes, it's hard. Why are you doing it? Like, why are you doing that? And what is
Yeah, just
podcasting
go get a
anyway?
job.
What is that?
Why are you
I don't
making
under
yourself why are you making yourself crazy?
what is yeah, why are you doing that? It doesn't make any sense. How would that make money? I don't get it. Like, why are you
Yeah.
doing that?" Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so I think that, you know, and when I think about being an entrepreneur, being a speaker, every door that is open, every opportunity I have gotten is because of a relationship I've had with somebody else. Someone introducing me to somebody, someone seeing me speak at an event, I just had someone reach out this week. I spoke at an event that she was at right after I moved to Portland in 2018. And now she's doing a conference up in Vancouver, and she reached out 6 years later.
Yes.
Well, I always say you never know who's in the room. So when you're walking into a room, going back to that question of what shows up when you show up, how can you be someone that someone else wants to help? And we want to help people who are helping themselves, who are, like, we don't want to help people that are like kind of needy and desperate energy, but it's like, I love what you're up to. How can I help amplify you, elevate you, expand you? I can introduce you to so and so. Let me, and that's why our network is our net worth, as people say, right? Like, again, that is how I make money, is like through speaking, and every moment, every opportunity, every referral is because I've built a relationship with someone.
Yes. And that ties even back to the authenticity. And I had to insert a story here. So we have our up close for Apple Podcasts. So we're going to talk more about networking for our up close folks at the very end. We'll get to that. But I love this story. So in I want to say 2018. So that's been 6 years ago. 2018, when I first decided to go out on my business, and that was doing reflective coaching and consulting. When I was doing that, I decided to go to this local training, and Marli was in that room. And I don't know if I could have definitely remembered Marli. I probably did remember Marli's name, actually, but I remember her presence and who she was, because she is so authentically who she is that I remember her from that. Even if I hadn't seen her again for number of years, till I saw her at another networking event through Dill Ward, through that networking event. So like I saw her again there, and her and I didn't work together for a couple of years, but like when she started her podcast, because we worked together with podcasting, that like I knew she was meant to have a podcast, because like I remember you the first time I met you. I remember you. And I don't remember, like, except for the person presenting, I don't remember anyone else from that from that time. I was there. I was only there for a half day because of my schedule. And yet you stood out because you are so authentically you, that you are memorable and you make a mark because you are so comfortable with who you are, and you are so genuine, and like you have this warmth to you, and you have this joy with you. And I did remember, I think at that time you probably were you doing Camp Yes at that time?
I
You
think so,
were.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
like you mentioned something about that, and I just like didn't like learn about Camp Yes at that point in time, but just remember that you did something with adults that was sounded really fun and interesting, and that like you were just somebody that just stuck out to me. And for you to be so authentically you, that people connect with that. So those things build on each other, and you are memorable. And we all know in business it takes time for people to actually connect and like do the things, but for you to just keep being who you are and believe in what you're doing, that those things will eventually all come together. So I love that, like, yeah, that you've always been good at connecting with people and doing that. So that's why we're going to talk more about the networking, because you're amazing. You're amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And yeah, in the networking piece, we can talk about this idea of how to be unforgettable,
Yes. Yes.
right? How do
That
you create these moments that where people remember you? Because like in a sea of people, there are people out there, and you'll notice it like the next time you're like next you're all these like holiday parties you're gonna go to. And then someone's like, oh yeah, like Susie was there. And you're like, she was? There are some people that have what I call invisible energy. They kind of like disappear into the background because like they don't have an energy. And like you also don't have to be like the most charismatic person in the room either. It's just being fully you and engaging with people, connecting with people. I see so many people like they're at conferences, they're at events, they're into networking, and they're just like looking at their phone. I'm
yes.
like, what are you here for?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. No,
That's
I
like
love that. We're totally gonna get I love that. I love that. We're gonna get into that more. I love that. And so then the growth mindset, like let's get to like how the growth mindset leads to like having the life you want as an entrepreneur, like how growth mindset can really feed into that.
well, I think that this idea of on the journey of entrepreneurship, there is always something to learn. And, Carol Dweck's work on mindset is there's kind of two sides of the coin, which one is having a growth mindset and the other is a fixed mindset. And having a fixed mindset is like, I'm just not good at technology. I'm just not good at sales. I don't like marketing. There's a lot of things we got to do, especially if we're solopreneurs. Until you can hire somebody, that's what you want to do, that we got to figure out. right? I love, Marie Forleo's line, everything is figure outable. And
Mhm.
like, luckily we have we have chat GPT, we had Google, we have YouTube, we have like all of these resources at our fingertips. And so, a fixed mindset says, I can't, I don't want to, and I'm not going to do it. And people get to choose their own adventure. Like some people are like, I'm not going to be on social media. And I'm like, it is 2024. If you want to be an entrepreneur, I'm not saying you have to. Maybe there is another way and you go knocking on door to door. I don't know what you do. But I'm like, that is a choice.
Yeah.
And so versus having a growth mindset, it's like, wow, again, it's like, I've never sold anything. I'm going to learn how to sell
Yes.
and sell in a way that's authentic to me. Cause there's a lot of like crazy, sleazy sales techniques and trainings out there. Right. So, but having a growth mindset, I think, again, it's like, I've never built a website before. Great. How do I do that? Or, I find somebody that can do it. But at the beginning, I did a lot of this myself. And so it just like, I think approaching it from that, like, I'm always learning and growing. There's always something new to learn. Like maybe it's a new technology. How do I use ChatGPT in an ethical way to reach more people or to hone my message? Or, I send a lot of speaking proposals and I have kind of like a framework, but I always want it to be specific to that audience. So I'm like, take this keynote and like help make it for nurses or for healthcare professionals or for lawyers, right? So like the language is, again, it's like there are tools that we have, but it's approaching that, all of that with a growth mindset versus I'm just not good at that.
Yes. Yes. And I think to get to where we wanna be, so even with I don't like social media, I'm anti-social media. Well, how can I do social media in a way that feels good to me is the growth mindset, right? So how can I do this in a way that feels good?
I love that phrase. How can I?
Yes.
How can I do this in an authentic way? How can I, yeah, like find my own approach to it?
Yeah, because we have to do things and we had to figure out ways to do them because we have to be able to sell if we're going to have a business. So how can I do this in a way that because we have like what my first the first podcast episode was doing marketing in an ethical way was how can I get to 10K months and feel ethical and feel good about it. And so to be able to find our way to do the things in a way that feels good and feels right to us and to have the business we want and the life we want, like how can I get the sales levels that I need and only work 30 hours a week and still be able to travel and still da da da. So how can I? Yes.
How can I? And like you said at the beginning, it's like, how do we build both a life and a business that we love? Right? Because it's like, as entrepreneurs, I always tell people or I remind people, you get to make up the rules. And so getting really clear, what does your life look like? What does your schedule look like? Do you want to work 3 days a week for 6 hours a day? Do you want to, yeah, always take Fridays off? Do you always want to drop and pick up your kids? And like designing your business around the life that you want. And
Mhm.
in this world of more, scale, 10X is da 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 da, right? I think it's like, what is enough for you? And what does success look like on your own terms? Not your neighbor, not the person that you see on the internet, these 6 figures in 6 days people, but it's like, what do I need in order to live my best life? Because more isn't always more. It's kind of like, 7 figures at what cost?
Yes.
If I'm making $200,000 a year and like I get to travel, I get to do what I like, I'm happy, then like do I need to grow and scale and like all the craziness and like all that would require? And some people want that. If you don't want that, that is okay. Or if you want to just make, I want to make 5K a month consistently. Again, if you're at the beginning of your journey, I think it's figuring out what does success look like for you on your own terms from a life perspective. And then how do I build a business around that? And like how many clients a week? It's like you might not want to see 30 clients a week. Maybe you want to see 10. Okay, if I want to see 10 people a week, 3 a day for whatever,
Yeah.
then you have to charge enough for that
Mm.
service, right? And that yeah. So it's like also, yeah, valuing yourself, valuing your knowledge, your time, your wisdom. I think that was one of the tricky, from a growth mindset perspective. charging money as a speaker or even as a coach, we get really caught up in like the hour for dollar mindset.
Yes.
And I see a lot of people get stuck there. Like it's like this much per hour you're a web designer, you're even, you're a coach. It's like, it's $100 an hour. Let's just go with an easy number like that. And versus like they're paying you for your 20, 30 years of training, knowledge, experience. They're not just paying for that hour. They're paying for everything that you've ever invested in that you are bringing to them in that moment. And getting out of that hour for dollar mindset has been a game changer for me in terms of, how do you package and price your services and again, valuing yourself, in that way.
Or
So
even better, Marley, valuing the transformation you're offering. Because I think that especially with what you're doing,
yes,
you're giving them a transformation that's worth more than even if it didn't take you 20 years to learn how to offer that transformation, even if it took you 2 years to learn how to offer them that transformation, like the transformation you're offering is what you're charging for. Because I think that even that, because I think as women, even us, it's not my value, it's the value I'm offering. And so that we take our value, because again, like we go from hourly to our value. And no, it's about the value we're offering. It's the transformation we're offering. And that puts us in the mindset of what level of transformation can I offer? What level of change can I give you? How
right.
much better can I make your life with the service I'm offering, with the product I'm offering, with whatever I'm offering? Like we put the value into this product so then we can like totally transform your life. And that's where the value lies. So that's what we're offering.
100%.
So yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Dig it.
Getting us in, get us into a whole different mindset. I love it. I love it.
Mm,
That's
so
so
good.
valuable. Yes. So we get to the point in the podcast where we get to talk about, authenticity. We've been good about integrating it the whole time, I think. But who is someone in your life that you feel really lives authentically? And how do they exemplify that?
Hands down, my partner.
I love that. And so everyone, again, we're gonna plug Marli's podcast because it's amazing. So if you look up, it says Marli Williams, Let's Lead Together is the formal title, but we call it the Marli Williams podcast because that's what it is. But her first episode is amazing because she talks about her own journey. So I think you'll love to learn about her journey. I know I loved it. It made me laugh and cry, which is amazing to do that in a podcast episode. But she also has an episode where she interviews her partner too. So I love that episode. So you can
That
learn
was
more
a fun
about,
one.
yes, you can learn more about her partner in that episode. And
Yes.
obviously I like her podcast because I know the episodes. But so tell us more about your partner and how she exemplifies authenticity.
Yeah, Liz. I just think, one of the things that drew me to her the moment I met her was just like her energy, and I think that we were both drawn to each other for that. But she just fully embraces and owns who she is. She wears what she wants to wear. She is so genuine and so authentic. A lot of people are like, oh, I can't wear that like sequence thing to this party. And she's like, I am going to rock it. I love it. And it is amazing when she does that. People are just like, oh my God, I love your outfit. Like you look amazing. And it's like, and she feels amazing because she's wearing what feels authentic to her. And she's just unapologetic about that.
Mhm.
She's like, this is who I am. And she jokes like my fashion style is overdressed. So I think again, just like she knows who she is and she loves herself. She really, really does. And she's done a lot of work to get there.
Yes.
That journey of self-love, to be able to fully really embrace who you are. And I see it time and time again. Like she constantly gives other people around her permission to do the same. People are like, oh, I never would have wore that to that party. But you've given me permission to be more of me.
I love that. I love that. And it is so interesting how other people are affected because I tend to be somebody like I wear dresses 70% of the time. I'm just most comfortable in dresses. I love wearing dresses. And it's interesting how many other people are like, how they feel about that. And you can almost tell other people's level of confidence or lack thereof by that. Like I still remember because I worked at when I was consulting, I was working back east and I was at agency and I was wearing what I call it a pajama dress, literally pajama dress. It's like a long cotton, super comfy dress. And I was having a rough day. I think I woke up with a little bit of a headache and like I was wearing a pajama dress that day. and I got compliments on my pajama dress. And it's jeans Friday at that agency. Like a lot of people are in jeans, but I was wearing a pajama because that was comfortable to me. And somebody had just had a conversation with me, and I just shared it about the pajama dress. And the CEO of the agency essentially walked in and was like practically admonishing me for wearing a dress on jeans day. But it just really reflected like how insecure they were, that it bothered them so much that I was wearing a dress on jeans day when I was comfortable and I was good. Like, but it's almost it's interesting that. So it's kind of nice. And I love it when it unlocks it for other people that wow, I can be who I am and I can be comfortable, and that's good. But it's interesting for other people to like how much that can say, like how much they are uncomfortable with people who are comfortable.
It's true.
Yes. So I love that she can be authentic with that. And I love examples of that because we all need more examples of people that can just be authentically them. I love that.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what advice do you have for our listeners who are trying to make it in business to amplify their message and better connect to their clients? Like, what would be your one takeaway for their way to better connect? Which I think we've kind of touched on this a little bit with genuinely being themselves, but like let's do that a little bit. Like, what's your takeaway for them?
I heard this from a coach show at some point on my journey. It's when you know your, ideal person, when you know their problems better than they do, you will have an endless amount of clients. When you understand their world, what is their model of the world? And I love the question like, well, what keeps them up at night? And how would they describe their challenge? And then ideally, what is your solution to helping them navigate that? And what's unique about it, and how can you speak to that in a way that resonates with them? And at the beginning of my journey, I didn't know. And I did what they call, in the world, like market research. And I
Yes.
asked, if you don't know what keeps people up at night, your people, ask them. Ask them, right? Like sometimes we're trying to create programs in a vacuum. I also love the idea of selling something before you create it. This is like a super actionable, tangible thing that anybody can do. It's called an I'm thinking about post. And it's like, instead of like, I'm going to create this like 8-week long jiggy course on mindset, blah, 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 you could say, hey, everyone, I'm thinking about creating a retreat to help people lead retreats called the Retreat. Who's interested? Right.
Yes.
And you can do that before creating a thing. Figure out what people want. What are they looking for? But also, what do you have to offer? Right. So it's kind of like that authenticity. It's not about like, oh, people want weight loss. So now I'm going to become a nutrition coach. Right. Like that's not my wheelhouse. So it's kind of like also staying in your lane, but asking your people and co-creating your offerings, meaning like, hey everybody, I'm thinking about blank. And, people do it all the time. They pre-sell courses or they do it live. They put things out there. Done is better than perfect. So like stop waiting. And I would say stop waiting for the perfect niche or the perfect message or the perfect brand or the perfect whatever. I always say it's always someone that you can help right now.
Yes.
So if you don't know what to do today, help somebody.
Yes. Yeah. And that market research piece, I think that we all get scared of that instead of realizing we're probably, before we start our business, we're doing it without thinking about it. And then once we start our businesses, we get freaked out by it instead of
Yeah.
like, no, this is something you were naturally doing before. And I feel like the pandemic also gave us distance from people, right? But like that's something like you were having those conversations with people that were like your ideal clients and your ideal customers and learning. And we still need to keep doing that learning and understanding and digging deeper. I love that. And this is where we normally do the actionable thing. But I feel like our actionable thing is exactly that I'm thinking about and digging deeper. But I also want to go back to that, what shows up when you show up doing that. So I think that, do you have for somebody who like resonated with that, like how they can kind of start tracking and figuring that out, or just reflect on it? What are your thoughts about how they can go deeper with that?
Yeah, I have some thoughts. Actually, one of the first coaches that I hired, it was called a zone of genius. She was a zone of genius coach. I was like, well, what's my zone of genius? I was trying to figure out. I was leaving my job and I was like, my coach, I'm my speaker,
Yeah.
who am I? My thing. And there was a few things that we did. One was like I think any sort of like personality test, like if you're a personality test person, so there's kind of like this like self-awareness piece. And what I love about doing a bunch of different ones, like doing the Enneagram, doing numerology, even astrology, like all this kind of stuff, Myers-Briggs, Strengths Finder, DISC, anything out there, you'll start to see themes,
Yeah.
which is what I really love about multi things. And it's not just like, oh, taking it, we're like, this is the golden truth about who I am. Some people with personality tests are like, don't put me in a box. Well, what I think is really cool is once you have the language for it, you get to, again, we can't own who we are if we don't know who we are. So there's that self reflection, self awareness piece. That's the inner work. The other thing that I did in this journey was there was an assessment that she created to ask people in my life who knew me. It was like a 360 assessment where it was like, if you could describe Marli in 1 to 3 words, what would you say? What are her best traits or characteristics? What do you come to her for? Like, and it wasn't long, but it was like a few questions. And so it's like, you could create a questionnaire. What are you curious about to know that would help you have more self-awareness?
Yeah.
And send it to the people in your life. You could send it to a partner, you could send it to colleagues, friends, past bosses, like your neighbor. I don't know. You can send it to whoever. And just again, what are the themes that you hear
Yes.
people say over and over and over again? And I've seen people do it on Facebook even. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, everybody, I'm working with a coach, and this was our homework assignment was to reach out to people we know. What are 1 to 3 words you would use to describe me? And
Yeah.
just do a Facebook post and like,
Yeah. No, I love it. I love it. That's fabulous. It's so helpful. You are so marvelous. I love this. And so everyone obviously podcast, Marli Williams podcast, and you have a website, right?
I do have a website, marliwilliams.com.
Nice and simple and easy. She's on Instagram. That's a good place to find you. Is there another good place to find you?
If you want to hang out IRL in real life, there are still some spots available for the Hell Yes Baja retreat coming up this
Ooh,
January in beautiful Baja, Mexico.
amazing. So an
So,
in-person opportunity to hang out with you. How many people are at this? Because this is a small retreat, isn't it?
small retreat. Yep. 10 people, 10, 12 people. It's a small group.
Ooh.
And so, and if you are looking for that clarity, that courage, that confidence, and that community to create your hell yes life and business, that is the place to go. And I would love to offer anybody out there listening to this podcast $250 off to join us. It is
Oh.
an all-inclusive retreat experience. All you got to do is get there and show up. Everything else is taken care of. And the promo code we created was AMP that
Amp.
you can put marliwilliams.com/retreats to learn more about that.
Awesome. So AMP is the code for $250 off. And so what are the dates for it exactly?
January 10th through 15th.
Ooh, so it's 5 days,
6 days, 5
6 days, 5
nights.
nights. And it
You
includes
got it.
food. And you're like at one
Food,
place the entire
lodging,
time. So you're there the entire time.
retreat, hotel, vibes. The food is epic, views, amazing humans, time of
No,
your life.
I saw photos from it looked amazing. There's like a pool and there's the views. It looks gorgeous. And you
Yeah,
get transfers from the airport. So you said to get yourself
just
to
gotta get there. Cabo.
just got to get yourself to Cabo in January. And I also last year, somebody else because I knew other people that managed to go to this amazing retreat. Somebody else had posted they also missed storms where they were from. So it's a good time of year to be gone
Oh,
from wherever
yeah. There
you
was an
are.
ice storm happening in Portland, and I was so stoked to not be there.
Yes. Yes. So miss the storms wherever you are. January is a good time to be gone. Excellent way to start the year.
After the holidays, it's like, yeah, start your year on purpose, right? Like, that's the whole idea.
That's amazing and incredible with an incredible group of women. And it really is. So it's a transformational is it planning or what exactly are you? So just getting yourself that clarity. And
Yeah. So the first piece is really like creating clarity in your hell yes vision for 2025. What do you want your life to look like? What do you want your business to look like? What do you want to say hell yes to? What do you want to say hell no to? So that is really a big piece of it. And then really cultivating like the confidence in yourself, reconnecting with yourself.
Hmm.
Like, so it's like I have this vision and then the confidence to believe that what I want is possible.
Yeah.
and cultivating the courage to take bold, inspired action in service of that vision. So, and having a community to support you. So there's excursions, there's play shops, instead of workshops, we can play, we can learn, we can grow, amazing connections, conversations, breakthroughs, yeah, tons of
Oh,
opportunities to get individual guidance and mentorship and coaching and support too.
love it. And I love it that it's like you putting you at the top of 2025. Yes,
Yep,
because it can be hard
that's
to
right.
do, especially as women. It can be hard to do. So it's really nice to do that.
Yeah, the other thing that I'll add to this is I feel like the world right now can feel really overwhelming, really chaotic, really crazy. And there's a lot of things that are not in our control at this moment in time.
Yes.
So, what I've been saying to a lot of people who are interested in the retreat is almost like reclaiming your sense of control over you,
Yes.
your life, and putting you in the driver's seat of that and not being so thrown about. Like, I think everyone feels a little bit like off center. So, this kind of like reconnection, recentering, regrounding, and resetting your nervous system is a big piece of that.
Okay, that's it. I'm going. So whoever's listening, you get to be with me if you go, because I'm
Let's
going.
go.
So not only do you get to be with Marli, but you get to be with me because that's it. I need this. So we're gonna
Yes.
end, and I'm also committing to me be able to take more time. And so this will be me committing that I'm gonna make it happen so I can be away for that long. So we're
So
doing
come
this.
hang out in
Yes.
Baja with us.
Yes, you get to hang out with Shawna and Marli and Baja. And so
Do
we're
a
gonna make
live
this happen.
podcast from Baja.
Ooh, ooh, we might just have to do that. That
I
might be
know.
amazing.
Yeah,
Yes.
we'll do a little like podcast 101, little workshop. That's
There
one of
you
the cool things too, is like all these like badass women leaders, entrepreneurs. It's like everyone also has something to offer each other, right? And like, how can we learn and grow together?
Yeah, so
So,
if you're listening, you better hurry up and sign up because one more slot is gone. So there's fewer
okay,
slots.
that's right.
Better sign up. Better sign up. Okay. Well, we need to get to the bonus stuff for our up close, our listeners on Apple. So we've got to get to that piece. But thank you so much, Marli. This has been amazing. And you have so much to offer. Everyone listening, you need to check out her podcast as well because you will get so much from it. She is such a gift. So thank you so much for your time, Marli.
You're so welcome. Thank you.
See you guys in Mexico.
That's right.
If you found this video helpful, don't forget, check out these other videos and subscribe. You want to be around to keep growing your business authentically.